Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 2 for Flying. Welcome on board of our Boeing 737-800 next generation. Our airplane is one of the TUI Fly Germany models, but we're gonna fly it as if it was a TUI Fly, just a regular one. Doesn't really matter. We're just gonna fly it, and we are currently parked at East Midlands Airport, Echo Golf November X-ray, and the plan for today is to take off and make traffic patterns and touch and goes here in East Midlands. Um, so yeah, just let's get going. I guess let's start with our golden dark setup. So we're gonna go power the airplane up by putting on the battery and getting some lighting in here. Want bright lights if possible. Yeah. Gear is 3 green down there, up there and down there as well. And then we'll go check the fire control panel. It's down there. Alright. Checked it. Checked. Also checked. I'm not sure if I'm getting audio from the... Aha, okay. I didn't get any audio in here yet, and... Sure, I think this works now. Let me try one quick thing before we get going. Alright, this should work. We just tested our fire alarms. We're gonna test them again so you can hear them. They're operational. Then we will go check out the... Oh, didn't register these. And we're gonna check that the squibs for the engines are all checked. We're gonna connect ground power, so we're on the GPU I think. See? Get ground power connected, open the door and get the air stairs open. Because we're not a commercial flight, we're gonna be training today. There is no need for any ground crew here. However, we will need to be pushed back since we are at a gate position here in East Midlands. We'll go position lights to steady, and we're not gonna do our external pre-flight inspection. We assume that this has been completed, so we can skip first get through this. Doors are as required. Block fuel for the flight today. Don't know how much fuel we should take. Let's just fill up the mains and then we should be fine. Let's go with can't remember how much fuel we use. Doesn't matter, let's go with 6 tons. No, seems about right. Payload 0. Nothing in here. Get our fuel guy out. Fuel circuits requested. And we are gonna follow the procedure. So we're gonna go surface on ground. And we're gonna get our lights set up. Emergency exit lights are armed. long enough on power yet, so we'll wait for a small one. Select the light on the jump seat here. IRS selector on the nav. Line. Verify that ground power. Alright, they're aligning still, and that is up there. It's 8 minutes to the line. My side escape rope is in place, and the surface panel. Right, check the master lock, all the lights. So all of these are on, all are required, these are all on, these are all checked, everything up here is checked, all these are checked in the business, nicely lit up. Right, okay, check my autopilot disconnect light on one, and pressure. Right. Alright, light in here. As required. Press airport here on the display. Airport on my display. And terrain. Barometric pressure hectopascal. We are currently at an inclination of 9er. Minimum, we are going to be aiming for 300 feet ADS, so we're going to go radio to be stable. Those are my two stable criteria, those in here as well. First off, fine, second best as well, and getting back on right. GPWS, or ground proximity warning system.
Wide slope. Pull up. Wind shear. Wind shear. Wind shear. Terrain. Terrain. Pull up. Obstacle. Obstacle. Pull up. Airspeed low.
Alright, that test has been completed. My clock is in UTC. Let's get this clock in UTC. There it is. Just for 1 quick second. Alright, now I hear how loud actually everything is sounding for you guys. And then turn it off again. I was just doing some quick settings. For the first officer, we want the terrain radar on as well. And Bajo reference to hectopascals minimums are also 300, so that's selected as required. Then we can quit the service on ground. Doors are as required. Passengers, we have 0 passengers on board, and we'll commence the flight leg. We'll initialize our flight computer. So let's go check that the aircraft model is current 737-800 with the correct engine rating. The looks like the nav data is out of date. However, I didn't get a proper update for the Zibo yet, so this will have to do. And we're gonna go position in it. Next page to copy the left GPS's position, previous page, and enter this as an IRS position. This matches with the last known position, and that is correct. We are currently at Echo Golf November X-Ray, which is East Midlands. Enter that as a reference airport. See if we have any sign of what stand we are on. Doesn't look like there is, so we're gonna leave that blank. Alright, we go route. Alright, flight attendant just told me that everyone's on board. It's easy when there's no one there. So we're gonna go Echo Golf November X-ray to Echo Golf November X-ray. And we are Jet Air Fly 101. So it's Juliet Alpha Foxtrot. Since we are not gonna be reflying a real flight, this is just a fictional flight number. Alright, we're not using a company route here, and that means that we are gonna have to enter everything manually, but we are gonna do patterns, so it's all gonna be visual anyway. Alright, then we'll go to departure airport, select runway, the wind is 260, 10 knots today, so we're gonna select runway 27, no departure. Go back to departure arrival on runway 27. We're gonna set up the ILS with nothing in here, so that it's all set up. Gonna get this direct in here and go through here. That's all set, no discontinuities. And activate. Execute. Alright, and then we're gonna go to performance. We want performance in it and our zero fuel weight. Let's take a quick look at our actual performance. Zero fuel weight 43.1. Gonna enter that. Now, entering this, we have to be careful that we enter it in zero fuel weight, not in gross weight, because there is a big difference. If we enter it in gross weight, it's gonna make very wrong calculations. So, reserves, we're just gonna enter 2, because everything is reserved. We're at our airport, so we'll just leave it like this. Cost index, let's go with 50 to be average. Trip cruise, the airport elevation is 306 feet, but we're gonna be taking 1500 foot patterns, so it's gonna be about, let's say, 2000 feet, so we're gonna say 2000. Entered in here. Winds, I don't worry about those. And transition altitude 6000, we're gonna be below it anyway. And we're gonna execute. Next is also not required. Okay, this looks like this is set up as far as we need it right now. We're gonna go yaw damper on. We don't need our center fuel tanks on. We do need these fuel tanks on. Crossfeed valve will check. It opens up, bright light. Light dims. Turn it off. Bright light. Light extinguished. Electrical systems, we're currently on ground power. We'll leave it like this. Fasten seatbelt, we'll turn that on. And we're gonna turn on these window heaters.
Captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. We do ask that all passengers take your seat
We'll
at this
check that
time
we
and
have
please fasten
sufficient
your
hydraulic
seatbelt.
pressure in the system. So go to system page.
Just as a
Sufficient
reminder, we cannot
quantity
leave the
and
until
pressure.
turn items are properly
And I will
placed,
monitor
overhead
our
bins are
engine
closed,
instruments as
and all
well.
passengers are seated.
Looks like this is sufficient. Yeah, not sufficient. No wrong data here. Cabin differential is 0. Cabin climb is 0. And cabin altitude is airport elevation. We'll go to the bleed panel now. Trim air can come on. These, I'm gonna select just random figures here because we don't have any passengers on board. Packs go to auto. Isolation valve is open. We're gonna be cruising at 2000 feet. So let's just select 2000 feet. Or make that, for the missed approach, the highest that we go is 3000 feet. So let's make that 3000 in case we need to go there. Landing altitude is gonna be 306 feet, so 300 feet. Selected. We don't need our logo lights on today. Departure, so we're gonna select our runway heading here because we're going to be flying patterns. It's 269er and we're going to select those courses on both. 269er on the left, 269er on the right. There it is. Turn both our flight directors on. Our departure heading is going to be 269er as well. And initial climb, let's make that 2000 feet for the pattern. And our standby RMI is not required for today. Auto brakes will go RTO. And fuel flow will reset the measuring of the fuel flows. Initial frequencies, we're not going to be using ATC today. And neither are we going to use any nav aids. As far as I'm aware, we might try some ILSs later on, but first we're going to do visual patterns. Alright, that's also not required. Transponder, if we're going to be visual, let's go 7000. Selected. And mic sources will get our first officer on VHF2. And then let's close our flight deck door. Our briefings. So as discussed, we're going to be taking off runway 27, performing a right hand pattern or a left pattern. Depends on what tower we would want. In this case, let's make left traffic in order to have the best visibility. We're going to make left turns out of here, and then we're going to rejoin for a landing on runway 27 to a touch and go. And then we're going to continue and repeat as long as we need to get good at our landings today. So let's say that our briefings are complete. We are at the central apron and we're going to be taxiing via probably Tango or Romeo down Alpha, hold short at Alpha 1 of 27. Alright, QNHs are 9er, 9er, 9er set. Clocks are synchronized. And flight directors are on both. I discussed the taxi route. Runway departure is gonna be just straight out. Then at say 500 feet radio altitude, we can make a left turnout. If that's early, we'll go to 1000. Alright, we'll go before takeoff checklists. Before start checklist. IRS modes are nav, gear pins are removed, lights have been checked, oxygen has been checked, yaw damper was on. Nav transfer and display switches are as required. Fuel, we have, let's see, 6 tons on board. Cabin utility, in-flight entertainment and galley power are on. Emergency exit lights were armed, seatbelts on, window heat on. Air conditioning and pressure, we set this as required. Pressurization mode selector was auto. Instruments are cross-checked. See, 300 feet, 300 feet. Standby 300 feet. Checked. Auto brake is RTO. Hydraulics are all on. Normal speed brakes are down and detent. Parking brake is set. Stab trim cutout switches are normal. Wheel well fire warning has been checked. Radios are not required. Transponder is set 7000. Rudder and aileron trims are 0 on all. And that is all we need today for this point. Alright. Let's make a passenger announcement, it's not required. Close all our doors. Air stairs, doors, close. And all doors are closed. We don't need a tracking client today. We're going to start our APU. So we'll go APU to on, then start for 5 seconds. There it is. EGT is running. So our APU is running now. Means that we are starting a small little jet engine in the tail of our airplane, which is gonna power us for the engine start. Alright, and let's say that that is done. Do the rest here. Zero fuel weight is checked. Cross weight is makes sense. APU bleed. We will go. It's not running yet, so we'll leave that for a second. Okay, it's available, so we'll go APU bleed on. And the generators on. Disconnect our ground power units. Alright, N1 limits. We're gonna be using this actual outside air temperature of 6, which is checked with the METAR, which is giving me 5. So we're gonna go 5. We can't. We just have to update this. As required. Takeoff derate, no derate, and no climb restrictions. Then takeoff flaps 5 for the takeoff. CG percentage is set. Correct runway. These speeds, they are correct, and that is checked. Then we can go select our stabilizer to 4.5, which looks like it's already there, and select our V2, which is 130. V2 of 130 in our IS mode. In the mode selector panel here, we're not doing a noise abatement departure, and then rest of the before start checklist. We were up there. PA was not required. CTU is set, and the speed bugs are Toga and 130. And step trim 4.5 was set. EFB is not required. Phone is not required. Flight deck doors and windows are closed. And passenger doors and passengers are seated. Alright, normal before start checklist to the line completed. Do we need to continue further? No, not yet. Alright, let's say we are cleared to push and start. We'll go anti-collision light on and turn our packs off.
Flight attendants prepare for departure for cross check and all call, thank you.
And go before start checklist. Packs off, anti-collision light on, parking brake set, transponder alt off. Before start checklist complete. Clearance is obtained. Let's start our pushback. Alright, we're gonna do it through the menu here. It's easier. Pushback, request pushback.
Ground to cockpit. Please show me where you want to go.
Alright, we want to be pointed that way. Like this. This looks nice.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Alright, perfect. Whilst our tow is driving up, I'm gonna quickly check something for our stream, if everything is alright.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Alright, clear to connect. our nice British fellow connecting to our airplane. Alright, quick check here, everything is correct. Looks like we're
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Alright, let's do that. Parking brake released.
Starting pushback and you may start engines.
Starting number 2, then 1. Alright, starting number 2. Go start switch to ground. Monitor the engine here. We have EGT. Fuel flow is indicating, and we want pressures. And once we get 25, we're gonna introduce fuel by selecting the fuel lever to idle. There's 20. There's 25. Introduce fuel. We have fuel flow, EGT, N1. So we have a light off in the engine. Now we watch that the EGT doesn't go out of the limit whilst monitoring the other stuff. And we see a gentle increase in N1. So we don't have a hot start, we don't have a hung start. I don't know how susceptible these engines are to those kinds of issues. However, it's a jet engine, so I guess it can happen. Looks like the engine is stable now. I can start number 1. Starter switch has been disengaged. We'll go number 1 to ground, and we monitor for the same stuff. So we see N2 increasing. And then at 25 we're going to introduce fuel by using this lever. Now, to keep in mind, I have these buttons bound to switches on my throttle quadrant, so I'm not actually with my mouse doing it at 25. It's very convenient to have switches for vital functions like this. It's easy when you have to do fire drills and stuff. You don't have to start looking there whilst you're flying the airplane. In real life, it would never happen that you're doing both the drill and the flying in an airplane like this. You would be using crew resource management to lighten the load on each pilot.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Anyway, enough talking. Let's set this parking brake.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Alright, and then we're gonna go after start checklist. Electrics, generators on, APU off, engine start switches continuous, probe heats go on, both on, air conditioning packs to auto, isolation valve to auto. Let's get him clear of us, APU bleed off, and then we just have to wait for the pushback crew to disconnect.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Alright, thank you very much. There's our pin, and then we're gonna select flaps 5, 1, 2, 5, and check our flight controls. So we'll go our system page here, full forward, full back, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, rudder left, rudder right, and neutral. Flight controls free and correct, recall, no lights, and blank our display. Then before taxi checklist. Generators are on, APUs off, start switch is continuous, anti-ice not required, air conditioning, PAX auto bleeds on, PAX auto bleeds are on. Continue here. Isolation valve was auto, flaps 5, green light, 5 green light. Step trim 4.5 set. Start lever is idle, checked. Flight controls were checked, recall was checked before before taxi checklist completes. Okay, we are cleared to taxi via, let's say we are cleared to taxi via Tango Alpha, hold short of runway 27 Alpha 1. So we'll go our taxi lights on and our turn off lights on as well. Release our parking brake. And then we'll go each engine lever. Check that we don't have our takeoff configuration warning. Is checked. Check our brakes are tested as well. And we'll go cabin lighting to take off. And then we will gently taxi over to runway 27 for departure. For left traffic. I'm not sure what direction is preferred here in East Midlands. I've flown to the airport once, but that was just for IFR approaches. And yeah, I didn't do any visual circuits here. Like any instrument flight, I didn't even see the airport because we didn't go around under the hood for missed approach. It was fun though. I like flying in instrument conditions. It doesn't really matter that much that you don't see the airport then. Although it's gonna be nice once I start working as an airline. If I start working as an airline pilot, it will be nice to finally land at the destination that you plan for. Hopefully, if everything goes well. Alpha 4 coming up. We're on taxiway Alpha. Alright, and once we get to the runway, as we get closer, I will start doing my before takeoff checks. Because we're gonna make it as smooth as possible. Say we have our takeoff clearance already. We better continue on a bit more. Alpha 3, we have to go all the way up there, to the far end of the airport. So what's new since the last time I've been flying X-Plane? I did install a Fly with Lua script to make the haze a bit prettier, so it should have a bit better visibility compared to what we're used to. It's also not impacting my frame rate at all. And I did fix the issues that I was having with horrible frame rates. Although I'm not sure if it comes across that nicely, because my stream monitor is showing that the frames are quite bad. Hold on 1 second, I'm gonna do a quick check in the YouTube studio. Alright, it looks like it's all okay and we are coming up on the runway. So we will go position lights to strobe and steady, landing lights on, auto throttle armed, and we're gonna have heading select armed, and let's make that level change. That is incorrect. I didn't want that at all. Okay, that was a mistake. On my end. Let's hold it here for a quick second. Let's, make that vertical speed. Get these flight directors off for a second, reset everything. So you want auto throttle armed, heading select, vertical speed. No. Alright, so reset these again. One last try. Auto throttle armed, heading select, no altitude mode yet. Just gonna fly there. I'm gonna go. And not altitude hold either, just like this. Yeah, just like this. VNAV is not required today. Let's see, no real weather, so no weather radar, transponder to TARA. And we're gonna do before takeoff checklist. Config is checked, flaps are 5 green lights, step trim 4.5, set. Takeoff briefing, straight out departure, and then, no, correction, we're gonna depart. Then make a left turn at 500 feet AGL if we are comfortable, and if not, at 1000 feet AGL, left turn. Takeoff briefing for a left pattern, takeoff briefing complete, cabin secure, MCP is set. Transponder TARA strobes are checked and landing lights are on. Okay, before takeoff checklist is complete. Alright, let's line up on the runway here. Give it about 40% N1. You can see right there. It's stabilized. Now we're gonna go Toga. N1 Toga. And heading select is armed. Airspeed is alive. Engine is checked.
80 knots.
Cross checked.
B1 rotate. Positive rate.
Gear up.
$400.
Alright. Let's make that 1000. For the climb.
1,000 to go. 1,000.
Alright, and let's start our left turn. Go flaps 1. Speed about 230. Make that a left turn.
Bank angle. Bank angle.
Alright, we don't want to overbank it. And go flaps up. A little high as well. Alright, let's turn diamonds to 0, 8, and 9 are now wrong side.
$1,000 to go.
Oh, that's really bad. Okay, this first one is going horribly currently. However, it is okay because I'm not used to flying it like this. once we get winged level, we might have a better view to see how we are doing regarding airport location. Or location relative to the airport, that's what I was trying to say. Alright, gears up and off. Let's leave these lights because we're gonna be using them soon anyway. Can we see the airport? No. Oh, there it is. Okay. Need a bit more room. If we use the final fixes where we should start our descent, so Fox there is the point where we should be at 2000 feet. So once we get a beam that, or just before, we can start our base turn. And that's basically another 90-degree turn. We're gonna slow down to, let's say, 190 knots. Get flaps in. So we can go flaps 5 already. Speed is checked, flaps 5. We'll go gear down. Flaps 15. And start our turn. And let's make that 150 for the speed, gradually reducing the speed. Gonna select 2000 for the altitude, but we are gonna judge our altitude with the glide slope there. Alright, this isn't the best yet, but we have a very limited view here on this little screen. So I'm gonna blame it on that for now. We'll see what happens when we get to landing the airplane. Can we see any airport yet? Our gear down 3 green, flaps are 15 and 10. So we're gonna go flaps 15, that's what I asked, what I wanted. Gonna start a turn inbound, shouldn't be an issue. That bank angle selector keeps annoying me. To be uncontrollably in the descent, we want to be in a controlled descent.
1,000 to go.
Is there an airport there? Let's take a look. Ah, there it is. Okay, we have to re-intercept the glides. This profile a bit. This X checklist thing is keeping bothering me. I don't need it up there right now. What should our VREF be? Let's see. 119. Alright. Let's try to aim for that. There's the runway. Okay, this first one is a little bit of a mess, apparently. So we overshot this as well. Let's see. We're gonna be slightly high, I presume. I'm not sure. This profile looks pretty okay to me. There it is, the puppies come in. We're low. Okay, let's maintain altitude a bit until we get to our glide path and go flaps 25. Go 119 on our speed. And when we get there, we're gonna have that up. Visual approach first, then flaps 30. And now flaps full. Alright, we are still below the glide slope, we're descending a bit too much. Try to keep this set up as required.
1,000.
Disconnect the auto throttles. We're very low. So definitely maintain altitude now. So we're not stable at 1000. There it is. This is what we should look like. Don't want to trim down too much because if not, the flare is gonna be difficult. Let's see how this goes. Start this terrain off. We don't need that here. Slightly left, but profile is still looking good. Speed is looking good. And gear down, flaps full, green light. Finals checked. Alright.
400 minimums. 300 minimums.
We're stable landing.
200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
That's a hard landing. Okay, flaps 15. Power back up. Alright, keep that nose down. Reset this trim. Okay, rotate. Oh,
Positive rate.
gear up. That takeoff was bad, I wasn't trimmed. Okay. Let's try this again. Next time should be better.
400.
Flaps up.
Let's go.
Right, start our left turn. Go.
1,000 to go.
Alright, we're high again. Why doesn't want to connect on autopilot?
2,500.
Okay, left command. Let's slow this aircraft down. Speed. Full throttle back in. 230 should we aim for. Looks like about a reasonable speed. Go gear off. Okay, next, this one we're gonna try using the autopilot to get us nicely set up. If this goes well, I might get some more confidence and do the next one, the one after this, manually again. But this definitely wasn't going that well. Anyone here, please rate my landing. It wasn't good. I'm still getting used to having to trim tons when we get slower. Okay, let's make this a downwind turn now. turning downwind for runway 27 in East Midlands. It's definitely a hard landing. Wasn't happy about it. Alright. Seems to be pretty stabilized. And then we can look for that runway once we get that in sight. Look, an autopilot can fly the airplane properly. Let's take a look. Can we see something airport shaped? Should be off there somewhere. There it is. Airport in sight. Again, we're a little far off, but it is okay. We're gonna go all the way back up to the final fix again, make that turn, and let's, for the fun of it, set up the ILS as well. So 10935, we want to set that up in here. 10935. Go with our friend here too. 10935 on both. Saying error. We have 10935. It's not a VOR. It's an ILS. One 0935. There it is. Alright, we have the information gonna be displayed here. It's gonna make it a bit easier for me, and when we get a good idea of what the picture should be like with the ILS approaches and the glide slope and everything sorted out there, I am going to do manual landings. Raw data maybe, or just completely visual. Don't know yet. We'll see once we get there what kind of training we are going to do. It's the nice thing of flying in your own simulator. You can do whatever you want. Right, looks like we're coming up on the final fix here. Let's make that turn to a heading of 359er. Yeah, we can have 30-degree banks in here. 359er. How much fuel do we have left? 2.5. Just keep an eye on that. That we have sufficient amounts of fuel left to fly the airplane and land it at the airport without shutting down in midair. Alright, we are now on our base leg. Oh, I should configure. Let's go speed all the way down. 119er was the VREF. Select that. We'll go flaps 5. Gear down. Once we get slower, we will configure further. Okay, let's turn in. On an intercept, let's go arm approach. Right, passing our flap 5 speed, we'll go flaps 15. I'll go flaps 25. Single channel now, let's go. Dual here, both are alive. We're on the localizer. Go flaps full now. So we're gonna do a completely configured approach apparently, because that's the way we do. Let's get this VREF plus 5. Give us some margin. Half scale deflection coming up. We are configured. It's required. We're gonna go disconnect the autopilot, fly this one manually, but using flight director data. Then our ILS minima, since we are now flying the ILS for proper. ILS minima are Cat 1 200, so we should reduce these to radio 200. We could also go altitude baro 482, but we're gonna go radio 200. Okay, we're coming up high. No auto brakes, no reverse, no spoilers. Touch and go. So we're gonna immediately go flaps 15 and then go full power. And trim up significantly. Trim down significantly, correction, that's what I was trying to say. I don't know why my flight director is leading me off the glide slope so much, I'm just following it. But we're definitely low.
Flight slow.
Okay, we're not stable.
Flight slow.
Let's make this a
Flight
go
slow.
around. Flaps 15. Gear up.
1,000 to go.
And select a speed of 230 knots. And a level off here. Flaps up is fine.
2,500.
And we'll go left command. Gears up and off. Flaps are up and no light. Alright, let's make that an immediate turn to a heading of 179er for our crosswind leg. Yeah, that was a total failure on my behalf to monitor my instruments properly. I was distracted with a lot of different stuff, which is rather annoying, to be honest. Alright, and we roll out for a brief second and then immediately roll in. No, that's not what I want. I want bank 30, but a left turn heading 089er. Alright, we're a lot closer to the airport now, I think. Or we should be. If we can see it. Did we actually pass it already? It's impossible. Oh yeah, there it was. Okay. So we were a lot closer, as you can see. Because we turned in a lot sooner as well. Alright, coming up on the final fix soon, so we can start a turn pretty soon. to intercept the localizer again. And let's not forget to configure this time. Let's go speed 190 and go flaps 5. Speed is checked. Flaps 5. And start our left turn. 2, 3, 5, 9er. Flaps 5 green light, so gear down. Flaps 15. Approach speed 119er. We're still good on fuel, so we can make this a touch and go. Get a little closer, and then we're gonna select an intercept heading. You can already go approach armed. And select a heading that's gonna make us intercept the glide slope and localizer. That's what I was trying to say. It's gonna make us intercept the localizer. Our altitude is intercepting the glide slope pretty soon. So at the final fix at 2000 we should be on the glide slope. Okay, on localizer. Let's do this a bit more like I would do any regular landing, instead of making it a special thing. Since we're doing patterns. Alright, and now we're gonna... Nope, I want... Why does it keep doing that? I really don't like having these buttons mapped like this. Okay, glide slope is alive. We are nicely geared down. Flaps 15. Are probably gonna go flaps 25 once we get in here. So speed is checked. Flaps 25 at half scale deflection. Reduce our bugged speed to 25. Glide slope. And we're gonna go speed is checked, flaps 40. And select 119er as ref speed. Alright, and let's disconnect the autopilot. And auto throttle as well, so we're fully manual in this landing. Right, slightly left of the center line, correcting, and getting it slightly above, maybe because we have a bit of a high power setting in.
1000.
Stable, continuing. Speed is pretty good. Localizer, and we're slightly below the glide slope, but we are correcting. Getting back on the glide, still on the localizer. Speed is still pretty good. Getting a little slow maybe. Trending slowly. Slightly right of localizer but correcting, slightly below but correcting. Correcting on all fronts, everything looks very
500.
stable. Getting a little high on there. Correcting.
400. 300. Approaching minimums. 200. Minimums.
Landing. For visual now.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Another hard one. Flaps 15. And full power. Yes, rotate.
Positive rate.
Gear up. Oh, flaps 5.
400.
Go flaps up, in fact.
1,000 to go. 1,000.
Alright. And we'll go LNAV auto thrust. Down to 230. Let's make a left turn. Heading 179.
2,500.
Flaps are up, green light, gear off, up and off. Setting is set. That was better. It's still indicated as a hard landing. However, I was at full back pressure on my flare, so I couldn't get any more flaring out of there. So I need more trim. I'm gonna probably want to be pushing a little on final to get more back pressure authority once we get on our flare. So we are rolled wings level. Let's go 089er for heading. Okay, VREF speed is now 118, as our FMC says. I want at least one good landing today. At least one. I'm hoping it's gonna be in this one, and then all the rest will be good as well. Hopefully. But to be honest, I can't be too happy about the previous ones. With this trim issue. It's very detailed and very fine, the trim, but if you want to have coarse trim moves, like a lot back, it doesn't work. It doesn't do it properly yet. I still have to find the good technique to do that. Let's see, where is the airport? I think there it is. Airport is just off to our left now. We continue on a bit until we get to the final fix where we can be configured and start our left turn to base. And for another landing, give it another shot. For everybody just joining me, welcome aboard. We are flying our Boeing 737 in East Midlands, and we're doing some landing training today. So I'm doing touch and goes on runway 27, and I have done 3 landings already, and all 3 of them were a little disappointing, to be honest. I'm still getting used to the 737 here, but I thought I'd show you how it works, what I do sometimes. As we are now flying on our downwind leg, we have 2,100 per tank, so we should still have enough. We started off with 6,000 total, 6 tons in total. We now have 4.2 tons, so we burned 2 tons just under 2 tons currently, which means that we still have some fuel to continue on. Coming up on our final fix for the ILS, which is in the system here, we can start making that speed correction down to 190. Go speeds below 250, flaps 5. Selected. And gear down. Make that left turn towards a heading of 359er for our base leg. 3 green, flaps 5 green light, and then once we're on base I'll go flaps 15, which is normally paired with the gear in normal procedures. However, it's a little different now. I'm just trying to do some I'm just trying to find a way to make this smooth. So let's see what's gonna happen on this landing. Alright, we'll go select flaps 5 speed here. VREF is going to be 118. Lights are all as required. Speed checked. Flaps 15. And we're gonna make a turn to 269er. I think we were a little late on this turn, so let's steepen this turn a little bit. We're gonna flying manually anyway. That's arm approach. That we have our glide path information here. Yeah, we definitely overshot this time. See the runway, we know where to aim. Okay, definitely overshot. There's the airport. We are turning back for it now. That came a lot sooner than I was expecting. Let's go select our VREF speed now, and when we slow down through it, or let's make that 5 above our VREF. Go flaps 30, flaps full. Your gear down, flaps are full. Lining up on the runway pretty shortly. Getting there. Right, there's our light slope. Not gonna let us intercept it yet before we have the localizer though, so we're gonna have to fly that manually. There's a localizer. Okay, can we fix this broken approach? The rule usually is if you're unstable before your approach, you're gonna have some issues during the approach, but we're gonna see about that. Glide slope there. Don't want to descend below it either, or above it either. That's what I was trying to say. Go auto throttles off, and set this up. Okay, we're getting low. Trim enough up already. Alright, looking pretty stable. Slightly right, slightly low, but we are correcting for both. Stable, continuing. All right. Slightly left, slightly low, but correcting. And we're on speed 118 is our VREF. Shouldn't we have to trimming now? Okay. Trim a lot. Now we can push down a bit. And control it like this. Still in trim, so I want to push more trim up.
500.
You're getting a little slow and low. Situation that's really not what you want.
400.
Still within limits though. There is correction. Back on there.
300. Approaching
Our
minimums.
visual.
Minimums.
Landing. Take a little bit of power out, but not too much. I'm pushing definitely forward now, so this
100.
flare should be easier.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Another hard landing, I can't believe this. Flaps 15. Thrust forward. Go around. Toga. Oh. Keep that nose on the ground. Rotate.
Positive rate.
Gear up.
400.
Go flaps 5.
1,000 to go. 1,000.
Flaps up. Alright, and then reduce throttles. Make that left turn to a 179er. I don't know why it keeps being a hard landing on a go. Alright, it's not flying it on autopilot, let's fly it ourselves. This isn't the difficult part. It's doing all the setup while it's getting established for the approach. So apparently this doesn't count as a good landing. I'm gonna have to watch a replay of that. Anyone watching, do you want me to watch the replay right now, or do you want me to continue landing and do it afterwards and do an analysis then? Please do let me know. Alright, let's turn downwind, heading 089er. Let's see if we can go autopilot on now. Yeah, okay. Left command. Command. Alright. One quick second. I'll be back. Alright, we're currently in the downwind, going for our 5th landing. So all 4 that we had before were classified as hard landings according to our tool. However, this one I think was a lot better. It felt smoother, we floated a little longer. Definitely flared properly, so I don't know what it was saying was wrong. Now, I must say hard landings aren't necessarily bad landings. As long as you're within the safe limits, a hard landing is very safe because you positive pressure on the ground. You can definitely start braking once you have a firm landing. That's what we like to call it, not a hard landing, but a firm landing. And if you really need to get it stopped on a short runway, a firm landing is a lot better than a floaty landing where you get very long down the runway, you eat a lot of runway. Alright, let's make a deal. If I get a good landing out of here, then everyone watching must like and subscribe if they wish to do so. I don't want to force anyone, but I think it's a good deal. Then I have something to work towards. If I get a good landing, I think that deserves a like and maybe a subscribe. We have 1800 in each tank, so we have enough fuel to get another couple of landings in for sure. And that sounds like a good idea. Alright, let's start slowing her down to a 180 knots this time. Let's try that. And we can go flaps 5. So speed is checked, flaps 5. I think that is still 2. I'm not sure, so let's be sure that's flaps 2. So let's flaps 5. And start turning inbound. Heading 359er this time. Keeping a closer eye on the distance between me and the runway. And then let's select flaps 5 speed. We'll go gear down pretty soon. We will do it in the proper order, so it's gear down flaps 15 immediately. Once we get to our proper speed and once we are wings level in our base turn. I don't know how they do it in real life. I have not done this yet in real life, but I will see. Maybe I'll make an update video once I get through a process like this. Alright, we will go gear down, flaps 15. 0 set. And then we will select flaps 15 speed here. Let's make this an intercept angle. Arm approach. Nice intercept for the VOR. And it should do it automatically. VREF of 117 this time. Because we're lighter, because we have burnt some fuel in the meantime. Alright, localizer live. Active. Localizer active. Localizer. So when I say active, I mean I see it move on my display. Then at the final fix we should have our glide slope as well. We will move the heading bug with us. Alright, glide slope was active, that's half scale deflection. We could go flaps 25 already. There's glide slope flaps 25. Select the next speed. Alright, speed is checked, flaps 30, or immediately to 40. I think the procedure is immediately to 40, and then select VREF in here. At 1000 I'm gonna disconnect now. Let's see if it makes any difference in our stabilization. So we'll definitely be stable at 1000 if we're on autopilot like this. Okay, this is gonna be a touch and go, no brakes, no reverse, and no spoilers. Stable, and our altitude is set for the missed approach. Let's disconnect the auto throttle. Don't want to slow down below VREF. For sure we don't want to do that. Alright, I am trimming very far back and I'm pushing rather a lot forward now. So I'm curious if that's gonna smoothen out this flare in any way. This flight tractor is really misleading me. It's getting me off my track. We're still stable. Slightly to the left, slightly high,
400,
and slightly fast, but correcting for all.
300, approaching minimums. 200, minimums.
Landing.
100,
Here we're
Flight
very
slow.
slow.
Flight slow.
50,
Go
40,
around.
30, 20.
Okay, I'm pushing full nose down and I'm pushing full trim forward and I'm not getting this nose down.
1000.
How is this possible? Gear up. Go flaps. As required. There it is. Okay, go flaps up. Auto throttle.
2500,
Setup. Left command. This airplane requires so much trim. It's unbelievable. Okay, I figured out why it's not letting me connect. It's because we weren't enough in trim yet. Okay, and let's turn our heading of a 179er. Alright, so we did touch the ground on this one, but this wasn't a landing. This was definitely a balk landing because we went around. I need a lot of training apparently in this airplane. In the Airbus I was struggling a lot less, for sure. But on that go around, I left some flaps in too long and I think it caused me to pitch up that much and I couldn't get it down. I was pushing full nose down. Okay, I'm turning my downwind now. Might have been a little soon, but we are far away so we can still correct if we have to. Alright, turning on our left downwind. How was this one so bad? So what happened is I got very slow. That basically caused all of it because I got slow. I had to increase my pitch attitude, but I was increasing my power but too late. So I was too late on my power increase again. And that caused us to get very nose high, and with this trim issue we were really not having any control effectiveness, and having to trim back that much, it actually caused us to not be able to control our go around either. So I pressed the toga button on my thrust on my power levers, and I was pushing full nose down with my controls, and I kept trimming forward, and it just didn't want to. It felt like I was completely nose up with the trim. And we could also see that we were very nose high with our trim when we were doing the other touch and go as the takeoffs, because we got a very early rotation on the nose without it being commanded, which is really not what you want. So I should be more aggressive on that nose down. I need more nose up trim before we flare, and I need nose down trim after we roll out, and I need it faster than the trim wheel can give it to me. That's what it feels like. But we are currently on our downwind leg, about to approach our point where we'll turn base. So let's slow the airplane down to 180 knots and start configuring. Alright, we'll go, speed is checked, and we'll go flaps 5. Selected. And start a left turn to a heading of 359er degrees. Just 1 second. Alright. Coming up on our runway pretty soon. See if we can see the airport. Can't really see it yet, but we're getting close. So let's turn inbound. Arm approach. Get our gear down, flaps 15, so we'll get our speed there. Gear down. And flaps 15. On localizer. Sorry, we overshot the localizer a bit. It's the autopilot flying now, so it's not my fault. Although it is my fault, I had a not steep enough of a intercept angle there, for sure. Or too steep, that's what I mean. It wasn't steep enough inbound, so it wasn't too steep of a intercept angle, which caused our localizer to be completely overshot there. It's gonna create some issues. We'll go try to resolve those issues. See if it can. Okay, it's back on. This is something, we were off the scale completely, so that would have been a missed approach. And there is the runway in front of us, glide slope as well. Get this speed down to flaps 15 speed. And go flaps 25. As this bank angle limited. It's a little annoying that it keeps just choosing that one over the heading buck. I want the heading buck. In a critical phase of flight like this, I'm not gonna mess with the bank angle selector. Okay, flaps 140 and VREF 117. Let's try this again. Coming up, nicely stable autopilot. Let's disconnect and fly it manually. Let's see what will happen next. How is it possible that I need that much trim to just get it off the autopilot?
1,000.
Stable. And we'll go disconnect auto throttle as well. To not get slow. Alright, we're stable, gears down, tree clean.
500.
Flaps are full, no lights.
400.
Slightly high.
300. Approaching minimums. 200. Minimums.
Landing.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Alright, that was definitely not a hard landing. But it still told me that it was.
80
Can't
knots.
believe it. Let's go full power on both. Flaps are 15. Why is my left engine so slow to respond? Go around thrust.
80 knots.
Cross checked. And it's gonna be the last one, so we're gonna make one more pattern. Let's go rotate.
Positive rate.
Gear up. Oh, it's doing it again. It's flying itself.
400. 1,000.
And we'll go flaps up.
1,000.
Alright, there it is. Let's make this left turn to our crosswind leg.
$2,500.
Get the airplane on the flight directors and in trim. There it is, and autopilot left command. Alright, we are clean. Let's go gear up and off. And let's start our downwind turn to heading 089er. Let's make this last landing count. Okay, I don't know what is happening with this hard landing stuff. But 737, difficult airplane, I guess. Alright, we are abeam the airport now, abeam the landing end of the runway there. And alright, so what happened on the last one? I was way more stable, and then apparently I didn't even flare enough. My nose was so high that I was afraid I was gonna get a tail strike. You know what might be happening? I might be pulling out power too soon. I'm used to the Airbus where you have to pull it out rather soon, because if not you'll float forever. Maybe this thing doesn't float at all and I need to get power in until we get lower, like maybe 30, maybe 20 feet, 10 feet. Pulling it out at 40 already. So let's try that. Alright, now it's a left turn towards a heading of 359er. Slow down to about 170 because we were late this time. And let's go. Speed is checked, flaps 5. Right, aircraft is trying to settle itself. Let's go for one last landing here in East Midlands. Alright, we'll select flaps 5 speed here, and the aircraft can continue to slow down. Don't need any power right now. We can go gear down, flaps 15. Select flaps 15 speed here. Get a little closer, and then we can make it a shallow intercept angle for the localizer. Let's make it an angle of 310 degrees here. And then arm approach. Even a 305 would still work. Okay, we're on localizer already. Is it gonna intercept? I hope it does. On localizer. I guess we were closer than I was expecting. Alright, they have turned on the runway lights, making it easier for us to see. Okay, now the difference between last time and now, we were still late on our turn. However, we never exceeded the localizer scale, so this is good enough. If you exceed the localizer scale, you should go around. And I would like to remind everyone that I am not a qualified instructor, and even a qualified instructor is not a replacement. Even a qualified instructor on YouTube isn't really a valid replacement for actual flying lessons. So do not try any of this at home. Unless it's in the sim. In the sim you can do whatever you want. That's my whole point. Okay, we went flaps 25. We'll go flaps 40 now and select 170 as VREF. Or should go actually VREF plus 5. So we'll go 122. Have some buffer margin. And for the final one, I'm gonna go disconnect the automatics already right now, so that's and auto throttle off as well. We're flying manually now. Looking nicely stabilized. Want to get a little bit lower, keep our descent going, not to go above the glide slope. So we want to increase our rate of descent a little bit and then resume the glide there. Maintain about this power setting will keep us at or above our VREF. We're slightly fast, which isn't gonna hurt with the problem that we are having. I think the problem is that we're gonna be a bit slow, so definitely not take out any power. So we don't want to be 7, we don't want to be 10 knots fast either. We want to stay within about 5 knots of our VREF on the positive side and 0 below, of course. Alright, we're slightly to the right, correcting for that, and we're on our glide slope nicely. I feel
1,000.
very stable, so 1000, we're stable, we are continuing the approach. Okay, we're constantly pushing a bit so that we have enough back pressure authority. Once we get there, okay, we intercepted that, we're on our localizer, slightly right maybe, but we're pretty much on and pretty much on our glide slope. We are 10 knots fast, so let's reduce that throttle a little bit. There it is. Slightly low, but correcting, slightly right, but correcting.
500.
Exactly on our speed where we want to be. Stable,
400.
low, getting low, trending lower, correcting. There it is. We didn't exceed our
300. Approaching minimums. 200. Minimums.
landing.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Alright. And there's our reversers.
80 knots.
And then we'll go reverse idle. Reversers off. Don't want to actually stop on the runway though. Well, my parking brakes had or something. We stopped and I didn't have any auto brakes in here. It's a strange thing. Okay. Finally an acceptable landing. I think what I did worked. So I kept the power in a lot longer this time. I'm gonna definitely remember that for next time. So what did we learn today? Keep power in when you're flying the 737. Keep it in the simulator. Keep power in to 20 feet, then cut it out, and then flare gently. Alright, let's taxi in. Get our taxi in procedure and our flaps up. Speed brake is there. After landing is checked. Get these landing lights off. Position lights to just position only. Taxi straight in here and we can go park right there. Transponder to standby because we don't need it anymore. Then we're clear. Right, turn these flight directors off. Before we start messing with these engines and stuff, I know when you start to try to do replays, it messes everything up configuration wise. So just for this last landing, let's take a look what it looked like. Alright, coming in pretty stable. Looking pretty good actually, if I do say so myself. There I see a little oscillation going on. Yep, there's definitely some oscillation going on, so next time I should maintain more an average of what's going on. Drifting slightly to the right of the center line. You can see me flaring there. Floating a little. And then we landed. And I do agree that it was acceptable. Even centerline deviation wise, it was pretty okay. Nothing to be embarrassed about. And then we stopped on the runway. Obviously, that's something to be embarrassed about in real life. See what the tower guys see. Coming in. Short final. I would say this might be a pass. I'm not sure. We landed a little long, but still within the touchdown zone. So that's fine. Got us on the center line immediately. Got us straightened out. And then we braked very, very hard. Because we were light and I used a lot of reverse. Because with the controller that I have, the Thrustmaster setup, the difference between idle reverse and full reverse is really not that big. See what our passengers see. If they at least thought it was a little comfortable. Alright, so what do you guys think of this last landing? So I know these previous landings, they weren't all that good. And I'm not too proud to admit that. But I think we found the issue at hand. We found out what was going wrong. I was taking our power too soon and we basically fell the last couple of feet. That's something that you have to learn about these aircraft. You can't find that out by yourself, unfortunately, without trying. Unless you read, unless it's exactly stated in the manual, and the Zibo manual is definitely not that detailed. Alright, so enough about this. Let's taxi into the gate. Let's take this stand right in front of us and then do our procedure. See how slow the stabilizer trim goes? That was what I was trying to fight with. Right there. Get these cabin lights to something more normal. Pro beats can come off. And then take a look outside. We're a bit wonky. I'm correcting for that as well. And pretty much parked up. Alright. And let's set our parking brake. Do we need the APU if you can get... Yeah, we need the APU. Alright, so before I get everything shut down here, I would like to say a big thank you very much for watching the stream, or the video if you're watching this after the fact. If you did like it, do consider subscribing to the channel. I will be doing more of this stuff since I really like doing it. And if you did like it, please consider sharing it with one of your friends. Then maybe the community can grow a little bit and then we can get some more people involved. Okay, we're on APU. It's almost available, I think. So once we get this here, I can start shutting down the airplane. And one more message for everyone who is watching this video and didn't catch the stream. Good advice is subscribe and ring that notification bell, then you will never miss when I go live, and then you can follow these things live with all the stuff included. Okay, APU gens are on and we can go engine start selectors to cut off. And these engines are off. We can select these lights as required. Alright, and we can open the door. Are we on ground power yet? Nope, we are not. Let's set the chocks, get on ground power, open this door, and get our air stairs out. Let's go on the ground power, get the APU off. And release everybody. Get these as required, and then the isolation valve can come open. The rest of the shutdown checks, we're gonna leave them for what they are. Well, I would like to say another big, very thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye bye.